We've got this great maze game, and we're going to use this as an example for how timers can enhance our programs. So this game, you start and you're going through this maze, but when you touch one of those red squares, you lose. So you get to the end, level 2, and it's devilishly hard when you get to this level. And it would be nice to know how fast you're doing it. So, that was a good run, but how long did I stay alive? So we are going to use a function called getTime. And how do we want this to work? So when we run the game, we hit start. We want this time to start counting. And as soon as we run into a red square, then we want the time to stop. And so all these red squares are basically giant buttons. So when we hit lose button 1, we go to the lose screen. Or if we hit lose button 2, we go to the lose screen. And it would be nice when we hit that lose button to know, like, did I last 17 seconds? Was it a minute? How long was that episode? So basically we need some variables. So let's think about this. So we want to use the getTime function, and that gives us the current time. So if we get time when the game starts, and then get time when the games end, and we subtract the ending time, subtract the beginning time from the ending time, we know how long the game lasted. So we have a little timer. So let's create those three variables. Let's create var start time, end time, and total time. And we want the start time to start when we hit the start button. So let's say start time equals get time. So right in here on the event, when we hit the start button, we're going to start the start time. And this time is under the blue toolbox control, get time. It gets the current time in milliseconds. So then when we crash into the red lose buttons that cause the game to be over, we're going to set the screen to the lose screen. And we also want to stop the time. So let's say end time equals get time. So if we get the time when we start and get the time when we end, and then total time equals what? It's going to equal the ending time minus the starting time. So we'll take end time minus start time. And then let's just show that on the lose screen. So if we go to the design here, we've got the lose screen is right here, and we'll just add a label to the lose screen, and let's just call this the time label. And I like to make them nice and big, so I make my labels 300 wide, make it like 50 high, and if we give a 300 width label an exposition of 10, it puts it right in the middle. And we'll bump up the font to like 22. And let's align the text to the center. So we've got this time label. So when we get to the end of the game, let's just set total time. So we're going to go to the lose screen, and we're going to set the text of the time label down all the way down here under time label. Set the text of the time label to whatever the total time is. Let's try it. So we start the game. We're a couple seconds into it. We're doing okay. We hit the button 3860. So this is telling us milliseconds. So we probably want to see it in seconds. So let's take our total time and let's format it a little bit. So we'll say total time equals, well, we can just do it all in this line. It equals this, end time minus start time, but let's divide it by 1,000 so that we, instead of having it in milliseconds, we have it in seconds. And we probably don't care about the exact decimals. Well, let's just do this. So let's round it. So we'll call math round. We need math dot round. How does it work? Capital round? I don't remember. Capital math dot round, and wrap all of that inside the math dot round parentheses. And math.round, if we go like this, so it's going to round that first thing. And let's round it to 1 decimal point. Let's try that. So we reset, run it, start. Yeah, 1 second. Okay, let's give it a couple seconds. And 4 seconds. Okay, so it's rounding it not to 1 decimal point. It's rounding it to a whole number. You can play with that, see how that works, but there's definitely a way to round it. And that's fine. We'll round it to full second. And now the problem is we need to do this. So if we bring these 2 lines down here, so this is what we're adding. We had this set screen, and then we added all of this for our timer. The problem is we have to add it to this lose button, then we have to go to the next screen and add it to this lose button. We're going to be adding this thing all over the place. So instead of just copy pasting it, let's do this. Let's cut it out of here, Command X, and we're going to bring it all the way to the bottom of the code, and we're going to put it in a function. And we're going to call this function calculate time. And it's going to take no parameters, and inside the brackets for the function, we're going to do all that work. And so there's a function. So the function is the JavaScript keyword function, then the name of the function, and then parentheses. With this particular function, the parentheses are empty. And then an opening bracket begins the function, and a closing bracket ends the function. So whenever we call calculate time, it's going to do these 3 things. So now, instead of copying and pasting that all over the code, we can do this. We can say calculate time. And by giving it parentheses, by using the name of the function and these empty parentheses, that is a function call, and that'll execute that code. And so it's just a little bit less copy pasting. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but it's a little bit neater. So we can just, every time we hit a lose screen, we can just call that code. And let's just see if that's going to work. So I don't anticipate getting this far in the game, but just in case, we'll call that code on all the lose screens. Start. Good enough. So we run it, start it. Our timer is started. There's 1. Okay, now 4 seconds. Okay, so let's try again, and we only lasted 1 second. So there you go. Timer on the game. Just makes it kind of a way of keeping score. Makes it just that much better. Thanks for watching.